Hi guys, welcome back to FRM Tutorials. I hope studying is going great for you. In today's video, we will be looking on environmental hazards. Define the term environmental hazards. Environmental is the adjective form of the word environment. Now, environment is the noun, and this means it is referring to the surrounding area. All the things in our surrounding, all the things that surrounds us. So we're talking about people, we're talking about animals, we're talking about plants. So all of those things that are in our environment. When we talk about hazards, we're talking about danger, a risk, something that poses a risk to the individuals or the plant, the animals, those things that are in our environment. Now, let us now look further now to put both of them together in order to define the term environmental hazards. Now, we can simply say that environmental hazards refer to something that is present in our environment that poses a direct threat to the living organisms that are in that environment. These hazards may be man-made or they may be naturally occurring in the environment. Hazards may be physical, chemical, or biological, and it may affect the air we breathe, the water, food, shelter. And you might want to also note that many hazards are caused by human interactions within the environment. Another definition that you may consider is that environmental hazards refers to substances like materials, as we said before, chemical materials, biological materials, physical materials, or actions. Actions refer to the things that are taking place within the environment. The environment can be the natural environment or it can be the built environment, which has the potential to cause harm to the health of the human beings within the environment as well as the ecosystem. So once again, environmental hazards refers to the substances and actions in the environment which has the potential to cause harm to the health of humans as well as the ecosystem. Earlier, I made mention of the built environment. The built environment refers to those man-made items that are created by people. Example, fence, storm drains, railroads, buildings, walkways, roads, all of these things that are created by men or by man in the environment. The natural environment refers to items which are found naturally occurring in the environment. They are not created by mankind, like soil, plants, insects, animals. Some hazards may include droughts, fire, earthquakes, dispersion of radioactive gas in the air, hurricane, landslides, natural decay or rust, radiation, extreme temperature and weather events, chemicals released from natural stuff, example, from the soil or from plants, buildings, cars, factories. When I say car, I'm referring to motor vehicles. Now, these are all found in our environment as well. So let us consider the hazards relating to these. Environmental hazards in houses have the potential to cause undesirable health effects to the residents of the house, and these include asbestos, lead-based paint, lead in drinking water, molds, carbon monoxide, radons, and these are just to name a few. Now, asbestos was used in homes back then in order to provide for insulation and fireproofing. However, it was banned back in the 1980s, 1970s, thereabout, because of the health effects that it had on persons living in these homes or persons who interact in buildings where asbestos was used. Now, you would find asbestos being used to provide like installations around boilers and pipes. Even though we say that asbestos is hazardous, it does not become hazardous unless it is exposed. So most times it is encased. All right. So if it is encased, it is not hazardous. All right. So the mere presence of asbestos in the home, because it is used around these fireproof and installation areas. Asbestos is used in a variety of construction materials like old floor tiles, ceiling tiles, roof shingles, pipe, cement, joint compounds used between like sheetrocks, right? However, as I said before, it is not dangerous or hazardous, rather, if it is encased. It only becomes hazardous when it becomes exposed, right? So when it is exposed now, like during renovations and they're licking down these things, then that is when it becomes hazardous. So that's just one way. Another way could be if the building material that contains asbestos becomes damaged. The asbestos starts to crumble, and so the fibers of the asbestos are released into the air, and so the occupants of that home becomes exposed to the asbestos. Them having inhaled these fibers now over a prolonged period of time increase their risk of getting respiratory problems like lung cancer, right? Lead paint is another hazard. It was used as an additive in paints many years ago in order to speed up the process of drying, improve the finished product after the paint was used, to resist moisture. But this product, as I said before, was banned based on the numerous health concerns that surrounded it. Lead from paint can get into the body through several different ways. It can be ingested, it can be inhaled. But like asbestos, if the lead in the paint is encased, it does not pose a health problem. However, where it starts to peel and to chip and to crack, that is where it becomes a hazard. Unfortunately, lead hazard aren't just in paints, it is also potentially in your drinking water. Don't worry though, I don't think it is in any of our drinking water now that these pipes should have been changed out. So the fact is that they would use pipes that were made of lead, because it was preferred due to the fact that it was easier to bend and it was more durable, right? But they have moved away from that. What used to happen is that the lead used to corrode and then it would leach into the drinking water and would lead to lead poisoning. Moles and mildew, they naturally enter the home through the doorways, the windows, and the vents. You'll think they're persons, but moles are found in the air. They are spores that flow in the air and they settle on surfaces. Moles grow rapidly when they're combined with water and humidity, and it needs a food source, and their food source normally found in buildings like where furniture is made from wood, the door is made from wood, there's paper lying around, and then there's moisture there. The rugs, other textile products, sheetrocks, and other building materials, right? So moles need water and humidity, and it also needs a food source in order for it to grow. All right, remember that it is a microorganism. Now, water unfortunately gets into our whole houses by plumbing leaks, roof leaks, overflow from heavy rainfall, floods, clogged gutters, right? And so let us also consider inadequate ventilation in showers and in laundry areas, in your cooking areas, in your kitchen, through the creation of steams as well, right? If houses have a basement, water can seep into the basement, right? There's lack of ventilation there most times, right? And since some houses may have cracked foundations and leaky pipes, then there are greater chances of moles being inside of that house, especially because we know that moles are naturally occurring. And then the fact that there's a presence of water settling or moisture, high humidity inside, then there is a higher possibility for mold growth. Carbon monoxide is another possible environmental hazard. Carbon monoxide is generated as a byproduct from appliances that burns oil, gas, or coal. Mark you, electric appliances poses no threat of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide normally vents out of the house, and so because of that, there is no cause for concern as it relates to it. Where it becomes a problem is where the heater, for example, becomes damaged, or if the house has a chimney, it becomes clogged. So the ventilation now is, becomes improper. There's no adequate ventilation. And so what happened is that the carbon monoxide gas now starts to build up inside of the house. And then that is where the problem occurs as it relates to carbon monoxide exposure. Radon is another form of gas. It is a radioactive gas that is found in nearly all soils. And so the gas moves up through the ground into homes, and it does that by way of cracks and holes in the foundation of the house, right? So radons, they build up and they concentrate indoor. And when this happens, when it concentrates in the indoor air, high levels of radon existing within the indoor space for a prolonged period of time, now this can cause or lead to risk of respiratory illnesses like lung cancer. Pesticide is another potential environmental hazard. It is found in the homes. Most times they use it to control insects, rodents, and other pests within the home. Now, where the pesticide residue is found on surfaces or they are found in the air, it can expose the occupants of that home to the chemical in the pesticide. For the purpose of this video, I'll finally indicate that noise can also be an environmental hazard. Excessive indoor noise that is inside, that is coming from the appliances such as the kitchen exhaust fans, the music, the television, hair dryers, these excessive noises in the home. Noise from outside of the home can also intrude inside our indoor spaces. For example, noise that is coming from traffics, if you live near to airports and the airplanes fly low, heavy equipment such as the generators, these also can intrude inside of the indoor spaces that you live, and thus this contributes to noise pollution. I would also like to note that improper disposal of garbage can also lead to an environmental hazard. The chemicals that are not disposed of properly, they're improperly disposed of, they can enter our water or ocean, and these can lead to health hazards, and they pollute the environment, they destroy the livestock, they destroy plants, they destroy sea life, and they contaminate other food sources. Outside of some homes that garbage is disposed of incorrectly, or where there are heaps of trash, like when yards are cut and the heaps are there, it harbors rodents. It also harbors flies, provide breeding grounds for mosquitoes, and of course you know that these contribute to various health factors. For example, the mosquitoes, they can cause malaria, they can cause the dengue fever. Environmental hazard is a very wide area, but important to note is that environmental hazard normally occurs or arises based on humans' interaction with the environment. Other potential environmental hazards may be out in the road, in the streets, in the urban areas, and in some cases where homes are found near to roadsides. Then earlier we talked about noise pollution seeping into the homes, right? But out there in the streets where a large volume of transportation, a number of people are driving, a number of cars and vehicles out there, you could consider the potential environmental hazard as it relates to transportation. For example, road construction and maintenance. Every day you have persons working on the roads, developing infrastructure so that we can have more road to drive on. As a result of a number of people driving, a number of motorists, you're going to have increased traffic, which will contribute to noise. It will contribute to traffic congestion, air pollution. You will have an increased reliance on petroleum because of these motor vehicles. And to just look into all of these, you will actually see where these do contribute to environmental hazard and the risk associated with such in terms of threat to lives of persons living in the environment. Thank you for tuning in to this FRM tutorial. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel for more tutorials on family and resource management. Now, good luck on your examinations.